You are listening to the Aging Starts Now podcast, where it's all about responding with confidence to the legal, financial, and personal challenges created by a disability, unexpected illness, or aging in general. Join us weekly as elder law attorneys Barbara McGinnis and Chris Johnson, along with other members of the Johnson McGinnis Elder Care Law and Estate Planning team, talk about the tools, techniques, strategies, and services that will make the elder care journey easier for everyone involved. Get ready, because aging starts now.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Aging Starts Now. I'm Katlyn Green. I'm an Elder Care Coordinator here at Johnson McGinnis Elder Care Law and Estate Planning. I have my fellow Elder Care Coordinators, my partners in crime here. I have Debra King with us and also Pati Bedwell. Hello, ladies. Thanks for doing this with me.
Sure, anytime.
Glad to be here.
Today, we wanted to do kind of a round robin on successful aging and the questions that you should be asking. First, ladies, is there such a thing as successful aging? Of course, you know I'm going to say absolutely yes, positively, but would you think it's possible?
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Anything's possible.
And you can plan for it.
You can plan for it. My thoughts exactly. You know, in our society, we hear things like, well, aging's not for sissies or not for wimps. And that's true. It is really hard, but it's also complicated. And a lot of the resources and the referrals that are available, it does have to be planned for. It's not something that just happens organically. And I think that both of you would agree with me that that's really what we are tasked to do in our jobs as elder care coordinators, that it is a goal that has to be coordinated.
And I would add that it's very individual too, because we all age differently. We all have different ailments. Our bodies react and respond differently. Some of us may live to be 100 and be relatively healthy. Others may develop dementias or other cognitive diseases, and yet others may face physical health challenges.
Sure. And, you know, I think one thing I think about as far as aging, you're right, we're all individuals, but we all know how this is going to end. You know, I mean, we all know that we're going to pass away at the end of our life. And so if we, in my mind, if we kind of try to prepare for the worst case scenario, and to most of us, that would be that we get sickly and we end up going into a nursing home or, you know, those types of things. But if we plan for the worst possible outcome, then I'm planning on being happily surprised along the way.
Yeah. Plan for the worst and hope for the best.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And but then no matter what happens, you know, you'll kind of be prepared for it, you know, just a little bit. So back to planning, you just need to plan.
Yeah. I think successful looks different for everybody, like Deb said, but really, how do you define quality of life? You know, I have some clients that say, hey, if I can sit in my recliner, my easy chair, and watch UT football, I have it made. Go Vols. Mm-hmm. I have other clients that say, you know, my mom or grandmother is a social person, a social butterfly, that she needs connection with people. She needs to volunteer. She needs to be around people and be really engaged and active in activities. And so that's two very different takes on quality of life. And I think that both can be obtained despite, you know, whatever obstacles.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, you know, if you think about it, a lot of us don't really think about those kinds of things at all. You know, we don't always think maybe about the things that make us happy or the long-term goals that we have as far as aging. And I don't mean that, I'm going to age and I'm going to travel all over the world. And then one day I'm just going to lay down, sleep, and I'm not going to wake up. Mm-hmm. You know, that's what we all want to plan for. Mm-hmm. But the reality is we just don't know. So we have to plan for the possibilities of what might happen to us.
there's a lot of possibilities. You make a good argument because, as Deb says, it's unique to the person. So we really don't know what's going to happen. Preferences are big. But, let's start with where. What are the questions we need to be asking about where can I age? One of the things that we're pushing professionally in our society is aging in place. And I don't know about you guys, but I have a little bit of concern with just the blanket term aging in place, because I don't think that aging in place without resources, without help, is a good thing. But I like to plan for our clients to stay where they want to be. If they want to be in their apartment or they want to be at home, let's plan for that and do the best that we can.
Well, and society is so different. I mean, a lot of the people that are aging now grew up when everybody lived in the same little community and all their relatives were around, and they moved in with mom and dad, or mom and dad moved in with them when they had issues. But now our society is so mobile that many people who want to age in place may not have any resources or supports around them. I saw that a lot when I worked at the hospital, that the communities, the suburban communities that people moved into in the 60s and 70s were now filled with old people who lived in their 3-bedroom ranches, and their kids had moved away and they had no support systems available. So, and I see that personally where, my kids don't live close by. So I think you really have to take it in an idea of what do you want, but what is reality? What is realistic?
Right.
What is going to suit your needs, and recognize that may change when you're 60, when you're 75, or when you're 90.
Yes, nailed it. Absolutely.
Yep. Aging is just like every other part of your life. It's very fluid. It's going to change. You may not get worse. You may not ever get to where you can't walk around and take care of yourself. But what if you do? So I always think one of the first things people need to think about as far as aging successfully is their safety net. Maybe you're thinking about where you want to live when you retire, and maybe it's going to be that place down at the beach that you've always wanted. But realistically, now that you're at that age, is that really where you want to be? If you go down to that beach house, do you have a safety net there for if something happens to you? Do you know who you can call? Do you have somebody that could help you if you, say you just fell and you broke your arm and you couldn't carry groceries in, or you couldn't, do some of the things? Who are the people around you that are going to help you as you age?
Yeah,
and working with families, having to look at what resources you have. If you don't have people around to help you, you often have to pay for that assistance. And do you have the resources to do that?
Yeah. Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C is definitely recommended. Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead, Patty.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, right, because we don't really know what plan we're going to need, A, B, or C.
Yeah. Well, it changes in an instant. One thing that comes to mind in talking about this, I've heard you both explain the idea of being a solo ager. And so you've mentioned the context of resources where you are. If you live in a remote area, there may not be services available. We've talked about finances, planning financially. Give me a little bit of advice on solo aging.
Well, I think, again, it's if you don't have people that can help you, whether it's because of your location, because of your relationships, or just because, you have to figure out who your village is. And a lot of people think, well, my cousin Susie said she would help me, or, my neighbors check in on me. But that's not really a plan. And when you're asking for volunteers, you have to think about how realistic that's going to be, that it may work in a pinch, but what about in a long term? That's where you have to find professionals that can help you. Do you need a geriatric case manager who can help manage your medical needs? Do you need, often it starts out with, I need someone to do the lawn work. I need someone to do the housework. Can someone fix me some meals or Meals on Wheels? So finding those resources and figuring out how you're going to pay for them is key if you're a solo ager, because you don't have that family that you can back. They often will back you up. Right, Patty?
That's exactly right. You always need to know where you can get help when you need it, and what resources, as you said, Deborah, are available to you. What can you afford? How much of this can you afford, and for how long? Because none of us really knows how long our aging journey is going to go on either.
And that goes back to what Katlyn started out by saying, is we all want to age in place and stay in our own home. I'm not leaving my home. This is where I want to be. Well, okay, can you afford to provide the help that you're going to need? What if you become bedbound because of health issues? Can you afford the 24/7 in-home care that you're going to need to take care of you, because that's going to cost you $20,000 a month? Or is that a point where you may have to go live somewhere else to get that kind of care? And how are you going to pay that? Because that's going to cost $7,000 to $12,000 a month.
That's right.
There's all kinds of considerations that, again, we can't pin everything down, but to be aware that those are some of the issues. I talked to a lady today, and she's just having a knee replacement in a few months. And I said, have you thought about where your bedroom and your bathroom are in your house? Because they're not on the main floor. And
Stairs.
Yeah. What if you can't do stairs as you age? Well, they have the resources. They might put an elevator or a stair lift in their home. That's great. That's good. They've thought about it and they've looked at options.
That is great. But unfortunately, it seems like a lot of us don't really think about those things. We like to keep those pie ideas and ideas that we're, like I said before, we're just going to just go to sleep one night and just not wake up. And so when something happens, when you have a fall and you break that hip, or your loved one, your partner has dementia, is diagnosed with dementia that's advancing quickly, you're kind of at a loss, because now you're in a crisis, and a crisis that you've not planned for. So taking a little bit of time to think about those very difficult life situations that may come your way can really serve you well in the event any of those things ever happen. Of course, we always hope that they don't, but at least having an idea of what you would do, if it's nothing more than who's the first person you would call, who would you reach out to first?
Using technology to help you with that. The other thing I thought of when you said that, Patty, is that needs to be reevaluated every decade.
Yes. And as you get older,
the fewer people that are around us, our brothers and sisters are old too. They can't help.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So keep an eye on yourself and on those people that you are going to be counting on, to make sure they're still available to help if they need it.
Right. Or what if your children die before you? I mean, we see that on occasion.
Yeah.
you're counting on your daughter to take care of you, and she gets cancer and passes away before you do.
It happens.
Who are you going to call then? You may become a solo ager.
Yeah, one of the things that I've heard our attorneys both explain that I really like is they often say, we don't get to tell life how it happens. That often life tells us, and that, your estate plan really needs to be evaluated often, because does it fit your goals? Does it fit what you want to happen, and kind of your plan B, your contingency for what might happen? And
Right.
I've always thought that was pretty insightful, that, no, we don't get to tell life how it's going to go.
No, but life is sure going to tell us. They are right there.
Yeah.
So, making sure you have your estate plan in line is very important, because, and think about it, who do you want speaking for you if something happens and you're not able to speak for yourself? You want to be able to know that those decisions, that your business life, so to speak, will be able to go on, and not be negatively impacted by your health. So we need to have our estate plan in place. We need to know who our agents are and what we expect of them. And they need to know what we expect from them. Most especially, with our healthcare powers of attorney. Do they know what your wishes are, how you want to be treated, what medical treatments you do not want, what are you agreeable to? All those things, if you keep all those things to yourself, then they're never going to come true for you, or at least, the odds are not in your favor that it's going to work out that way.
And Patti and Katlyn, let me add for our listeners that we do have a free download on our website at Johnson McGinnis Elder Care Law, which is tn-elderlaw.com. We have the Do You Know My Wishes booklet available for a free download. We have Where Are My Important Papers? We have Is My Loved One Safe at Home? So there's a lot of free resources on our website that can help people think about some of these topics before they get there, so they can start thinking about what they need to plan for and how to plan.
Absolutely. And I appreciate both of your input. As we mentioned, we're all three elder care coordinators, and we are the go-to in your life care plan to have these kind of conversations, to start these conversations, what resources are available, but really, how do you talk to your loved ones about it? Do you just sit down over coffee and say, well, when I get sick, here's what to do? It's not always that easy. And so, of course, the three of us talk about this all the time. This is what we do. This is what we love and we study. And so at any given time, you can talk to the three ECCs about all things successful aging. But that really caps our time for today. And really this conversation is that, yes, it can be successful. Yes, it can be planned for. And yes, it can be extremely meaningful. So I'll wrap us up today. I appreciate it. As you know, Johnson McGinnis Elder Care Law and Estate Planning is a life care planning law firm. We help families respond to the legal and financial challenges that are caused by chronic illness or disability of a loved one. So join us next week. We'll do another episode of Aging Starts Now.
Thank you for listening to the Aging Starts Now podcast. For more information about today's show, visit tn-elderlaw.com, click on the Free Resources tab, and then click on Aging Starts Now. You'll find the show notes there. And while you're at it, why not check out all the free resources available at tn-elderlaw.com. Document downloads, the Johnson McGinnis blog, educational videos, informative articles, helpful links, a TV show, and more. It's all there, free for the taking. If you enjoy listening to the Aging Starts Now podcast, please subscribe, rate the show, or leave us a review. It's easy to do on whatever app you use to listen. We would love your feedback on the show. Aging Starts Now. We'll be back next week with more candid discussions about the challenges created by aging, disability, and unexpected illness.